And then inviting each of you to find just a comfortable seat. You know that your legs never have to be crossed. If you're in a chair, I would even invite you to like scoot your butt back in the chair and let yourself have a lumbar curve, regardless of whether you're sitting on the earth or you're sitting in the chair. If neither of those are comfortable, your floor, I would imagine, is available. And that's a great place to just stretch out and to really allow the earth to support your body. Once you feel as though you have that seat or that lying down position, you may look around your room, kind of notice the colors that you see. Maybe notice the shapes, different textures even, whether that's your floor, the things in your room, the carpet. Almost as though you're using your senses to really bring yourself into the space that you're in this morning. Maybe there's a particular smell in the air. You'll notice the coolness or the warmth of the room, of the air as it touches your skin. And when you're ready, if you become ready, allow the eyes to just gentle close. Stay connected with those senses. Still noticing the sounds, the smells. And then noticing this morning your state of being. That can be your physical body. Perhaps asking yourself, how do I feel this morning? What's going on in my body? And it might be that you're drawn real quick to what's wrong. Of course, that's just part of the way the human brain tends to work. Notices, probably for survival purposes, what isn't right. But this morning, we'll keep going with that and we'll direct our awareness to what is right. Noticing where in your body things feel maybe loose or good. You know that good is relative. But for you, there's a sense of maybe ease in the body. Check in with your emotional being as well. Both your emotional body and your physical body are seriously influenced by the thoughts or the cognitive part of you. So notice what you're thinking about, what's on your mind this morning. And again, you'll likely be drawn to maybe what you're worrying about or what doesn't seem or feel right for you. And of course, validate for yourself, like these things are real. And whatever you're thinking or feeling is absolutely okay. And then direct your attention to what is well. Allowing yourself to settle into this place where we're consciously directing our awareness and our energy towards positive. It's not that we'll ignore the negative, no, like suppressing any sort of emotion. We'll acknowledge and we'll validate, and then we direct, focusing on what's positive. Perhaps you feel the breath. And with an inhale, your palms will come together, the thumbs will tug at the heart. The chin moves towards the chest if you'd like. If there's anything in addition to kind of our group intention here of directing attention towards positive, if there's something more that you need this morning, set your personal intention. We haven't ommed together via Zoom, but this morning it invites you to share in this sound with me. It just awakens kind of our vocal cords. The symbol or the sound symbol of this is just the representation of the life process from beginning to end, that space thereafter. So if you're comfortable, you're going to exhale, let your breath go, and inhale. Taking a breath in. Use your exhale to bring your hands down. Let the shoulders soften. And let the chin move down towards the chest. Soften your face. Release your jaw. And for just a few breaths, feel the length to the back of your neck. Any tension that's held in the shoulders or the neck, let it move away. Next inhale, your head will move to the middle. Your exhale will gently rock it back just enough that the throat is open. Your inhale will pull your head to center. Your exhale drops your right ear towards that right shoulder while you're pausing and just breathing. Left shoulder in particular is very relaxed. Left side of that neck lengthening. With an inhale, your head will slowly come back to the middle. Your exhale will drop left ear towards left shoulder. Right shoulder in particular relaxes. Check in with your face. Let it be soft. With an inhale, the head moves back to the middle. Your exhale will tuck your chin down towards your chest. Soft shoulders, soft face. With an inhale, lift the head to center. Exhale, rock it back. Open the throat. Inhale, head to center. Exhale, right ear to right shoulder. Take a breath in. Use your exhale, roll your chin to your chest, up and over to the left shoulder. We draw a rainbow with the nose to get the right ear back to the right shoulder so we can roll the head back down and around. Rainbow with the nose. And allow the head to circle. Observe sensation in neck and shoulders, maintaining the softness of your shoulders. You might notice the sounds of your neck. Sometimes there's kind of crunchy, or I'm not sure that it's grindy. Maybe it's grindy noises. Of course, you're honoring body if there's any sort of pain sensation. You're choosing to do something different. Do one more circle. When your chin is down at your chest, you'll pause. Couple breaths, soft shoulders, soft face. Inhaling, head is back up to the middle. Exhaling, rock it back, open that throat. Inhaling, head to the center. Exhaling, left ear, left shoulder. Take your breath in. Use your exhale, roll the chin to the chest, up and over to the right. Inhaling as you draw that rainbow with the nose back to the left. And your exhale circles you down. Inhaling to come back around. And just circling with that head. Okay, do just a couple more circles. When we land, we'll land chin tucked to the chest. If your hands aren't on your knees, bring them to the knees. You're gonna tuck your tailbone between your legs and then let the arms kind of help you arch your back behind you. So you're coming into a seated cat. Like you're finding space between the vertebra of at least your upper back, between your shoulder blades. Maybe you could even stretch back through the lower back, like you could create space there. Then you'll bring yourself upright, roll your shoulders back and down, open your throat. And so your heart is lifting up, your tailbone then is gonna rock back and down, like you're gonna lift the tailbone back and up. You're in your seated cow. Take a breath in. Then use your exhale, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, find your seated cat. Inhaling forward to your seated cow. Exhaling back, seated cat. Using your breath, go back and forth several times. Remember our spine. We want to move that spine in every direction we can, every single day. Very often, if we have a healthy spine, the rest of our bone structure is healthy. Good. Next time you come through neutral, you'll go ahead and pause. If your legs are getting uncomfortable, go ahead and bring back one to front, stretch them out. Whatever you need to do to maintain the seat. And I know sitting is, I think for all of us, not our favorite posture, but it's so good for our core to have to hold ourselves up here. If we can hold ourselves up and imagine that we're softening the hips and the butt, that's helpful. But either way, this is hard work. So once you're back to neutral, we've gone extension and flexion of the spine, which is forward and back. We need to go sideways, lateral bends. And so we might just bring our arms down and out beside us, and we can add the shoulders to this. If you don't want to add the shoulders, you'll just be taking the bend like right shoulder towards right hip and then back to center. So let's go ahead and inhale, bring the arms up if we're gonna. Your exhale will drop your right arm down to the earth, your right shoulder towards your right hip, and that bend. Inhaling, everything comes to the middle. Exhaling, we bend to the left. Inhale, middle, and exhale, right. So connect it just with your breath. So it'll mean it's your pace. I think one of the most awesome things that have come from this Zoom experience is us really having to figure out how to do our own practice, even though we're with others. Almost like we've even given ourselves permission at home to not do sometimes what everyone else is doing. And I hope that when we come back together, that follows you. Gonna do one more time on each side. You'll use an extra inhale to come back to the middle. The exhale will bring those arms down. Nice. So we've gone lateral, flexion, and extension. We're now gonna twist. And so if you want legs straight, my legs are ready to be straight. You can go ahead and straighten them. If you're happy with them crossed, you'll stay right there. But we're gonna twist to the right first. So if your legs are straight, you're gonna pull the right one up and over. Left hand to that right knee, regardless of what legs are doing. Our right hand moves behind our hip. Get nice and long through your spine, like the crown of your head is reaching for the ceiling. Take a breath in and then use your exhale to twist just your shoulders to the right. And taking a couple breaths with just the twist of our shoulders, we then check in with the rest of the spine, like the mid-spine. And we ask it if it's okay to twist a little deeper. If it is, then the solar plexus, right where our ribs come together, it begins to twist towards the right. Maybe your head and your neck join that. But to the best of your ability, you're staying straight up and down with that spine. Nice, take a breath in. Use your exhale to come back to the center. You're switching legs if they're straight. Left one will be over top, nice and tall. Your left hand moves behind your hip. Take your breath in. Use your exhale. Shoulders twist towards the left. Couple breaths here as though you're just giving the spine time to adjust, to realize what's happening. Most of us prefer that in life, not to just be thrown into something, but to get an opportunity to ease into it. If and when it's appropriate to twist deeper, that solar plexus turns towards the left. One more breath. Extra breath in. And your breath out is what brings you back to the middle. Awesome. Go ahead and either swing the feet to the side or roll around. We're going to meet on all fours. And once we're on all fours, of course, our knees are right under our hips, our hands under our shoulders. Let's spread our fingers wide and really imagine that our fingers are gripping the mat and that the palms of the hands kind of become suction cups. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Pull the belly in. I know that often we let it just kind of dump here, which might initially feel nice, but it's real hard on the lower back. I'm gonna do just a couple more rounds of cat-cow here, just so that we're warm. Take a breath in at neutral. Your exhale is gonna tuck your chin, tuck your tailbone, arch your back. Your inhale will bring you forward to cow. Tailbone's lifted, heart and collarbone are open. Exhale back to cat. Maybe you need to wiggle hips or head or neck. Just want that spine to really have had an opportunity to move around a bit. Two more breaths, doing whatever you're doing. When we meet, we'll meet back at this all four position, our hands stepping forward just a little so we can have room to begin to circle our hips. And I start with my hips kind of circling small, just because there's typically a lot of tightness, which then is my reminder that tightness doesn't always mean bad. If I direct that attention towards the positive, it means that my hips, because they're tighter, are quite stable. Just depends which way I choose to look at this, to focus on the negative or direct towards the positive. As your hips maybe warm a little, you can widen those circles. And you can circle slow, you can circle fast, whatever feels good. And do two more circles. You'll pause in the middle and then circle it other way. And same thing, maybe it starts smaller. Good, go around just a couple more times. And then meet back in the middle. We're gonna let our hips like fall as far as they can over towards the right and back. And so it's like this really funky child's pose where like your right butt is falling off the side. And it creates quite a lot of tension in that hip. And take some breaths. Next inhale, you'll come back to the middle, come all the way back to all fours, and send your butt back like you're going into child's pose, but send it to the left, like that left hip reaches towards the earth. Soften pelvic floor. Good, one more breath. And you're coming back to the center. Once in the center, we'll go ahead and tuck the toes. Make sure your core is engaged. Remember your hands, they're like suction cups. Your fingers grip the mat. You'll take a breath in and then use that exhale to lift the knees and the hips up and back. And once you're up, let's let our feet pedal. Let's let those hamstrings gently be guided into this place where they're lengthening. Maybe you still think about ears between the upper arms and your hips high and back. But your legs certainly not having to be straight. Let your face soften. Note that if high down dog is not for you this morning, you're in low down dog, which is just knees under the hips, but you still get that length for the back body. Good. If we're on our toes or up with our hips, let's come all the way onto the tippy toes. Take a big breath in and then imagine that you're just sending your hips or your heels back towards the earth. Inhale all the way to your tippy toes. Exhale as though your heels could come to the earth. Take a breath in and use your exhale and bring the feet back or the knees back to the earth. Awesome. Our right foot then is going to come forward up and in between our hands. And so we might be able to get it there. We might need to pull it up there. And our torso is going to lift up. So right away, most of our hips, like they unlevel, that right hip will lift way up. We want to try to drop it down and keep it down where it's level. And then we're just going to play with sliding our weight forward into that low lunge and letting that left hip flexor, it's lengthening, that left hip is open, and then rocking back. You'll slide forward and rock back. If you have blocks at home, blocks are really nice here. If you still don't have blocks and you want blocks, you're more than welcome to come by the building and grab whatever you need, bolsters, blankets, straps. Good, just a couple more times, sliding forward,
So
moving back.
if I can't do it on my bad knee, do I just do one side?
I would do just one side, Georgia, yeah. And I don't know if that knee would support like your hands on the ground with that knee up so it's straight, but just trying to get that hip open. Good question. Good, when you've had enough on that left hip flexor, you're gonna bring your right foot back and you are gonna trade sides. And I don't know where Georgia's at as far as her knee healing process. Sometimes no weight at all, like no bend in that. Other times we can put all kinds of like cushion, blanket under there, fold our mat up so that there is more cushion. I love like the honoring of our own bodies right where they're at. Good, so bring it back, low lunge. Like you're leaning forward so you can get your hands to the earth. Your front foot will come back again. So both knees are under the hips. If you had your mat folded, unfold it. Let's meet in all fours, tuck our toes again, take a breath in. With our exhale, come up and back to down dog. Get those hips really high, like you're reaching into the ceiling. And I come to my tippy toes just as a reminder, hips high, then hips back, and maybe heels towards the earth. Nothing wrong with keeping knees bent the entire time you're in down dog. In fact, it helps ease the stress of the hamstrings. If you yank on the hamstrings, very often you yank on the lower back as well. And so be mindful. With an inhale, we're gonna walk our hands back to our feet. Our knees bent the entire time. When we get there, keep the knees bent. Let your belly rest on your thighs, tuck your chin in, and then relax your arms and your shoulders. Let them just hang. Maybe you close the eyes. And here, I'd like to invite you to just reflect on your world and identify something this morning, something that feels right, something that you know either is right where it's supposed to be or you're right where you're supposed to be. Maybe there's more than one that you can identify. But try real hard to acknowledge just one thing at least. With an inhale, we'll slide ourselves halfway up, create our flat back, so either hands on the shins. If they're on the thighs, our elbows are bent and we've got them tucked right in beside our ribs. Take a breath in. Use your exhale, hinge those hips again. Tuck the chin, let the shoulders relax and feel. For most of us, I'm imagining there's tension in those hips because they've been hinged now for quite a while. Feel that. Good, we're gonna stay with it. So still in forward fold. Next inhale, come halfway up. This time, push your thigh bones back in your hip sockets. You can keep those knees straight, or bent, I mean, not straight, or you can try to straighten them, but be aware again, no yanking on hamstrings. And we're gonna come all the way up to standing, so your hands walk up your legs, and you just unhinge. And notice sensation when your hips finally get to be open. Awesome, so feet are under the hips, roll those shoulders back, pull the belly in, get long through the crown of the head. You're just reaching up towards the sky. With an inhale, we'll lift the arms up. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge the hips, find your forward fold again. Inhaling to come halfway, it's a flat back. Exhale, fold, bend the knees enough you can get your hands on the earth. Walk your hands all the way forward to where you can either come to high plank or low plank. Either place, roll those shoulders back away from your ears, pull the belly in, and let the hips just move just the tiniest bit side to side. And it's super important, your core is engaged. Come back to the center. If we're up, knees up, we're gonna make sure we shift the weight forward, then bend the elbows, lower to the earth. Untuck your toes. So your body it's grounded. I lengthen my legs, letting the hips make contact with the earth. The shoulders will roll back towards the ears, and we'll inhale, lift the chest into cobra. And take a couple breaths. Remember, in cobra, technically our core is doing the work. Our hands could just be floating. Good, see if you can lift the chest just a wee bit higher. Your lower back strengthening. Breath in. Breath out will bring your head down, maybe a cheek to the mat or the forehead. With an inhale, shoulders roll back, chest lifts back to cobra. This time we're gonna press up to our knees, our elbows hugged in, like grazing the ribs. Tuck your toes, get your knees up and back, find your down dog. Hips high, hips back, maybe hips wiggle. Bending the knees, let your hands walk all the way back to those feet and meet in forward fold, chin tucked in. Inhaling halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, this time arms out like giant wings so you can unhinge the hips, lift all the way up, reach up. And exhale, hands come down to the heart. Inhaling to lift all the way up again. Exhale, bend the knees, hinge the hips, find your forward fold. Inhaling halfway, flat back. Exhale, fold. Walk your hands forward, your version of plank. In plank, we're letting our hips just shift a little bit side to side. If we're high, remember, shift the weight forward. All of us will use an exhale, lower to the earth. Inhaling to cobra. Shoulders back, down, away from our ears. Take a breath in. Exhale, lower to your mat. Nice big breaths. Inhaling cobra. Exhaling to the knees. Tuck the toes, up and back, down dog. Nice big breaths. Wiggle the head. Ears right between those upper arms, those hips high and back. We're gonna drop the knees with the next exhale and meet in all fours. Good. Our right foot will come up and forward between our hands, just as we were before. And this time, as your torso comes up, bring your hands to your knees, roll your shoulders back and down, and feel your heart lift up towards the sky a little. Good. Notice where your weight is at as far as your front foot, your back foot. See if you can even it out. Lovely. We're going to shift our weight back then and try to straighten that forward leg and keep our hips level. Our toes can be down on the mat. They can pull up towards the shin. Maybe you play with it, you do both. And it's tricky to balance. And for Georgia, she might decide to come all the way up and be more in pyramid to protect her knee doing this. Or anybody who's not comfy on that knee. If we want either pyramid or here, we can choose to hinge the hips. And of course, a lot more awareness to the back of that leg. Good, wherever we're at, we're gonna do one more breath. Then inhale, make sure your torso's upright. Bend that front knee, hands down to the earth. Front foot back, so knee is under hip. Awesome, other side. Same thing. Torso's up. You're rolling shoulders back and down, seeing if you can lift that heart a little bit, engage the core. And when you're ready, that front leg, it moves straight or straight-ish as you keep those hips level. Toes can either ground in towards your mat, they can pull towards the shin. Go back and forth if you'd wish. Remember, pyramid is your other option for this, which is just back toes tucked, leg up, turn the back foot planted. Your front leg is straight, shoulders still over the front of your mat, and that hinge. Got just a couple more breaths. Then if you're hinged at all, you're going to use an inhale, unhinge yourself. Your front knee will bend so your hands can come back to the mat. Your front foot back, so knee is under the hip. Let's move our knees apart a little, send our butt back towards our heels, forehead to the ground, finding child's pose. And shoulders soft. If your forehead doesn't meet the ground, remember stacked hands, forearms. Another great place to identify another piece, part of your life that is, it is right. Even if it feels like a struggle, identify the part that is positive. Next inhale, we're bringing our arms forward. Inhaling to come to tabletop. Crawling forward on our mat so that we can swing the feet either to the side or roll over them. We're going to meet back on our butts. And once on our butts, our legs go straight out in front of us. Maybe move the flesh of your bottom so you can feel those sits bones, that bony part of your butt connected to your mat. Torso is nice and long, so it means your core is engaged, the shoulders roll back, and you're going to pull the toes towards the shins. Maybe close your eyes. And here we'll sit in staff pose for just a few breaths, strengthening core, allowing the back of those legs, they lengthen. And as you're here, you might imagine that your toes can spread, like you're reaching out with your pinky toes, sending messages all the way from your brain clear down to your toes. And we'll draw that right foot in by bending the knee and just pulling it into your left thigh. You're gonna stay still, like squared with that front leg straight out from your hip. We're doing half of a forward fold. So engage your belly if you let it slip. Your hips are gonna hinge and your hands can just come down like out on the ground in front of you. If you maintain this flat back, which just means core engaged, lumbar curve, then it'll stay, the stretch will stay mostly like back of the hips and back of the legs. If you want your back body here to be part of this posture, you'll still keep the core engaged, but you'll tuck the chin, let the back body bend, and maybe your hands come to your calf, maybe they reach the toes, whatever. But it's like at this point, you're kind of curling down and bending into yourself. Core is still engaged though. Nice big breaths. Maybe your eyes are closed and maybe again, you're thinking about what is right. So you've got one more breath. If your back body is bent, you're gonna unbend, come like flat back, unhinging our hips so we can come up. Other side, right leg is out, left leg is bent. Remember, your straight leg is still straight out from your hip. You're trying to square like your chest, your hips, everything, so that you're right in line. When you're ready, get an inhale to make you tall. Your exhale hinges your hips. You've got your lumbar curve as of now, and then it's a very conscious decision. Do I want to keep this in like my hips, or do I want to add the entirety of my back? If I'm adding my back, it's an exhale that tucks my chin, bends the back body, my core stays engaged, but I sink down and in like I'm kind of curling my heart towards my bottom leg. Yet again, what is positive? What is good? If you take it from like your immediate world out into your greater world, maybe it's what is good within your extended family, in your neighborhood. Out into our community, throughout our state. We go clear out there into a national level, even if the tendency is to focus on what is wrong. Yes, there is things, there's suffering. We're not minimizing suffering. We acknowledge it and identify what is also right. Last breath. Come into a flat back if you're curved and bent. Inhaling to unhinge our hips. Exhaling, bring that other leg so both legs are both straight again. And you're back to staff pose. Up nice and tall, shoulders both back and down, your core is engaged. Couple big breaths. Moving to our back bodies, we'll bend our knees. And we can either use the hands, the arms to support us, or if we want to activate the core a little bit, you might bring your arms out beside you, tuck your chin in, but slowly let yourself, just as slow as you can, move all the way to the earth. When you're at the earth, you're going to pull those knees into the torso, hands to the knees, as though you're giving them a hug in. And feel yourself press your lower back into your mat. Let your knees, your hips rock a little side to side. Maybe your knees circle. If they circle one way, they circle the other way. So we're going to use an exhale, bring our feet to the mat. And then just your right foot, you're going to bring that knee in, but reach for the foot, like the ankle with your left hand. And so it means you kind of like spin the shin and your hand has hold, your left hand has hold of your right foot. Your right hand will have hold of your right knee. And you might just hug it in. If this is easy peasy, of course, you could engage core, bring it so that the elbow has your foot and the other elbow has your knee. Either way, though, you're hugging in, you're creating a bit of tension and keeping it's your butt, keeping your butt on the ground. Just squeezing in. Your right hand then is going to reach for the outside of that right foot. Left hand drops to the earth. And the sole of the foot moves towards the ceiling. And you've got your knee bent. So you're in half of a happy baby. And here you can be pushing with a foot, pulling with the arm, and keeping that knee bent. And that'll keep much of your awareness in that right hip. If you need more for the hamstring, back of the thigh, you can begin to try to straighten that right leg while you've got hold of the foot. And if your foot is not accessible, I hope you know, like you're grabbing the back of your thigh, you're grabbing your calf, like you're grabbing what is accessible. Either way, your sacrum, like your butt stays on the ground, whether you're straightening the leg or keeping it bent. Next exhale, if leg is straight, you'll bend it. All the way down, grab that knee with both hands then. So it's a wind reliever. Hug it into your torso. Take a breath in. Exhale, foot to the earth. Knee is still bent. Your left knee comes in. Give it a hug in, and then you're spinning that shin so that your right hand can grab that foot. Your left hand has your left knee, and you're giving it a squeeze to you. And of course, if you don't have the foot, it's not accessible, grab your pants. Use your pants as your little hook. Your sacrum stays rooted. Doesn't matter really so much what your other knee is doing. Just be aware of it. The left hand moves to the outside edge of that left foot. And we move that left foot up towards the ceiling, our knee bent. And we're pushing with our leg, pulling with our arm, maintaining the bend in that knee for a very active half happy baby. If you're moving towards hamstring, you're straightening that leg, but your butt, your sacrum stays on the ground. Sometimes we roll it up trying to get our legs straight. Better practice for us to just allow the bend of the knee rather than the straightness of the leg. One more breath wherever you're at. Extra inhale. Your exhale will bend that knee all the way down. Bring your hands, both of them to the left knee. Give it a hug in. Breath in. Breath out will bring that foot to the earth. Good. Let's bring our feet all the way together, then our knees all the way together. Ensure that your shoulders are somehow relaxed. Maybe arms out like a T. And feel that earth press into the muscles across the back of your hips. Very gently then, your knees will begin to rock or tick-tock, side to side. I'm going to invite you to start slowly with the tick-tocks, just so you can really be aware of the sensation as the earth presses into those muscles. Remember that when we're trying to release anything, it's repetition. As though maybe for 5 or 10 minutes a day we're on the ground, honoring these hips or the lower back that might be tender or tight. And we're just doing the same thing over and over and over. And next time your knees are falling towards the right, let's let them drop. Wherever they drop, let the hips follow. So it's like you're twisting. Notice your left shoulder is still connected with your mat. To get your knees back to the middle, your top knee, it's gonna lead. Your feet stay on the ground. Top knee to the middle, followed by bottom knee. Let your knees both drop, other way. Your hips roll. And this time you notice that your right shoulder stays grounded. Okay, your top knee is your leader. Come back to the middle. We can either push down through the heels, like lift the butt a little, scooch it down, or draw the knees back into the torso, hands to the knees, and rock a little side to side. We want to make sure lower back is as connected with the ground as we can get it. And when you're ready, then those legs will stretch all the way out. Your feet are at least hip distance apart, sometimes even wider feels better. And then those feet, it's like they roll out and open, and they roll all the way up into the hip socket. So your leg bones roll out, and that helps your hips know that they can release. Make sure your shoulders are comfy, maybe tuck the shoulder blades. And here we are. For some of us, our favorite part of the practice. For some of us, the hardest part of the practice. Your eyes are closed if you're comfortable doing so. And you're noticing the breath. And with the breath's exhale, the body gets to relax. With the exhale, the body gets to be heavy. Every part of the body, from the head to the shoulders, the belly and the back, the butt and the hips, the legs and the feet. With your exhale, the whole body relaxes. With your exhale, the whole body releases. As your body relaxes, the mind moves. And in its movements, notice its tendency to move towards what's wrong, the negative, how you're uncomfortable, what you have to do today, blah, blah. Notice it, validate it. This is real for you. And then shift that wandering mind of yours to where you want it to go, which this morning is to the positive. Almost as though you're going to choose where it is you direct that awareness and that energy. Even if body is hurting, even in the struggle, allow yourself to find something. Got just a couple more breaths here. Just savoring our last moment or two in this place where body is relaxed. When you're ready to find some movement again, you'll wiggle the fingers and the toes. Maybe take a couple of deep breaths. Eventually bending your knees and letting your hips shift one way or another. They'll fall, the knees will fall to the side so you can roll on over. When you're ready to come up, those hands and those arms, they do much of the work to push you up. When you get back up, you're finding a comfortable seat, closing your eyes again. And just for a moment, reconnecting with breath. And reminding yourself that this practice of finding the positive or directing your awareness towards that, it certainly isn't about ignoring the very real pain or the suffering. There's an acknowledgement of that. One of the greatest gifts we can give to ourselves is being real and invalidating our pain rather than minimizing. As we do that, though, there's an and involved. It's validating and moving or directing that attention towards something that is right or positive, just so that we don't get caught up in that tendency. When you're ready, you'll bring the hands together, move them up to your heart. We're gonna end the same way that we started. This time each of you are unmuted. If you wish to participate in the Om, we'll exhale, let our breath go. Inhaling to fill back up. Namaste.